I don't know who started the Aiden trend. Sorry. Anyway.
I don't know. How many we going to see more LeBrons?
To the NBA.
Probably.
Despite scoring 30 or more points in 31 straight games, James Harden is still taking heat for the way he's doing it. In an interview, Harden said it's hard not to hear the criticism about his style of play. He also said the streak has been born out of necessity. Take a listen.
The scoring streak is obviously amazing, but it's just something that I had to do because of our situation. We had all the injuries and guys and out of lineups and things like that. So I think the streak just started happening, and then now it's like something to talk about. But it's not something that I'm really honestly focused on. Like, that's something that I have to do in order to give us a chance to win the game.
Pull! I'm sorry, I coughed. I shouldn't cough on it. Pull! I'm sorry. What?
Chris.
Oh, you coming to me
Chris,
first. All right,
do you agree that Harden has to play this way in order for the Rockets to win?
Well, look, this is Mike D'Antoni's system. And if you look back at Phoenix, Steve Nash dominated the ball. He wasn't the type of guy to shoot as much as James Harden, but he dominated the ball with the dribble. He would just pass it. Sean Marion was on that three-point line, and Amari Stoudemire was rolling to the basket in the pick and roll. That's how they played. Harden is doing the same thing, except he is much more of a scorer and has a scorer's mentality than a Steve Nash did. So some of it is this system. When Chris Paul was out, when Eric Gordon was out for a little while, and obviously Clint Capella has been out, James Harden did have to carry this team.
Yes.
And they won. That's the thing. I don't care how you play as long as you win. They were 17-5 during the first 22 games of this scoring streak. Now Chris Paul has come back, and obviously Chris Paul is a great player. Maybe he's not quite what he was, but he's still a great player. They're 4-4 with Chris Paul back because right now they're still in James Harden mode. And everybody's still playing the same way, including James. And D'Antoni hasn't changed things up. And Chris is kind of just fitting in like the other guys and not being utilized to his full capacity. So they're not winning as much. So now there does have to be kind of a dialing back and maybe moving more to what you did last year, which was still a lot of ISO and similar stuff, but not to this extent. So it was necessary at one point, and they won. And now it's not necessary.
I would actually agree that at one point it was necessary for him to carry them. And I completely understand how difficult that is. Like anybody who's ever been the best guy at a pickup ball game, when you got to score, like you got guys that can't throw it in the ocean, right? They're make it rain. You know, let it rain, guys.
It's fun for a while.
But then you get tired.
Right.
And I honestly think that how much he carries them on offense hurts them in the playoffs, because in the playoffs, you got to play the other end too. And you don't build up the confidence of the guys around you to make plays when you're not at the free throw line more than anybody in the sport like he is in the regular season. But watching him, he leads the NBA in dribbles per possession at over 6 dribbles per possession. It reminds me, I played for John McLeod my first year at Notre Dame. All right, so this is 95, 96. And we're in the locker room in front of the rest of the team. And he's like, Dougie, who leads the NBA in scoring? Oh, Jordan, coach, that's easy, easy. Try me again. He's like, who leads the NBA in assists? I was like, Stockton, coach, no problem. Who leads the NBA in rebounds? Like, I think it's Karl Malone. Who leads the NBA in dribbling? Like, coach, I don't think they keep that stat. Pass the ball. Pass the ball, right? And the idea was like, there's a reason they don't keep that stat, because it's not a good thing. This is not Mike D'Antoni's style. Mike D'Antoni's style was 6 seconds or less shooting the basketball. Mike D'Antoni's style was pick and roll, get in the lane, make a play. I agree.
But Nash was dominating the ball.
He's
a different style of play.
This is actually how
scoring at the rim and free throws.
Right. Yes, but that's analytics basketball. Yes. Here's the thing. The idea that, well, you know, I'm not really about the streak. That's just how we had to play. That's bull. Why was he in the game when they're down 20 to Minnesota and he's chucking up threes? Why? Because the streak is important to him. It just is. He leads the NBA in three-point attempts. He shouldn't. He's not the NBA's best three-point shooter.
But he shoots 37%. I mean, he's taking a ton of threes, but he shoots 37%, which is not bad.
I believe he also leads the NBA in turnovers. He just
he's always done that.
But it's because his usage rating. We have to we're dealing with in football. They'll tell you all the time, like, man, I don't know why you talk to NFL people and they're like, I don't know why we go on gross stats in terms of your defense. The best defense doesn't allow the fewest yards. Right. It's what do you do on third down? What do you do in red zone? What are you in turnovers?
Right.
That's what the best defense is. In basketball, it's not about gross stats in terms of number of points. Some of it is true field goal percentage, but also it's massively skewed by pace of play and the volume of touches and the volume of ball dominance and the volume of three-point shots that lead us to believe this is some incredible iconic streak, and it's not.
It's not an iconic streak.
No,
Doug, we're not. I get it.
This is like in the NFL.
He's averaging 41.5 points during the
I got it. But
do we want to take a? I mean, we measure Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, George Gervin, Tracy McGrady, all these greats by the traditional numbers. We're not going to start measuring guys by how much they score per 36 minutes or how much they score per possession. I'm sorry, nobody wants to do that.
Has the officiating changed in the NBA dramatically?
Yes.
Dramatically.
Yeah.
One, you can't touch a guy when he's dribbling towards the basket. Two, you can set any sort of illegal ball screen, period, so you don't know which way a guy's going. And he leads the NBA in free throw attempts as well. Like, look,
but he's drawing fouls. That's not a credit to him?
This is what it's like. It's like in the NFL, a great season used to be 3,000 yards passing, and then if you threw for 4,000 yards, now you're an MVP. Now you got over 10 guys in an NFL season that throw for over 4,000 yards. There's more possessions, there's more three-point shots, there's more touches, the greater volume of it. Like, it just, I'm sorry.
I get it, but I get what you're saying. You know, Michael Jordan, they didn't shoot the three back then. Jordan played today, he'd be probably a good three-point shooter, a good one.
Yes.
Not a great one,
made
but a
6 threes in NBA Finals when he had to.
And he gave the shot. Right. So I get all that. But even let's measure James Harden compared to the players today. When you said, and I agree, the talent is great and the skills are greater than ever. Nobody else is doing. LeBron's hasn't done what he's doing.
But his usage rating is so much higher than anybody else's. Of course, that's like hey, Matt Stafford throws.
They're winning though.
That's like Matt Stafford throws for more yards. Yeah,
Matt Stafford doesn't win. That's the difference. That's the difference
because he doesn't. He doesn't have to play the defensive end.
If James Harden was just a gunner and they were below 500, and he wouldn't be getting all the love he's getting. But they're winning in the West with all the injuries. Like, you can't take...
The injuries is the thing. Like, you could talk about Chris Paul, his missed
more than 30 games, I think.
Clint Capella is one of the most integral parts to what James Harden has done offensively. And so he's missed 14, 15 games already.
Clint's missed 15, Eric Gordon's missed 12, and CP3's missed 23 games.
So that changes the entire complexion, and they've still been winning. I think
they were winning. Now,
but they're
some of it is also the schedule of who you play when you play them. But no, they were winning. Like, look. Do I think it's an impressive streak? Like, yeah. Do I think it's one of the all-time great streaks? No, because you have to take it within the context of the fact that he's dominating.
So do we take away? Now, granted, we take away Wilt Chamberlain's numbers? Because he did it in a much different era when the pace was through the roof, the players weren't as tall.
Correct.
And there were more missed shots.
I don't think anybody talks about Wilt Chamberlain now because it's a completely different era of basketball. And I'm telling you that the way this thing is officiated, the volume of three-point shots, it's a completely different sport.
I get that.
The math is different.
No, I get that. But again, if you compare Harden to the players of today, the ones that are playing in that same different sport, he's still lighting it up and doing more than most other people.
But if you prorate Giannis's numbers based upon the usage rating to his usage rate, his numbers would be through the roof, right? There's a reason you're like
we can't. Either that's like a bench player who plays 21 minutes a night.
I understand the prorating
12 points and 4 assists. Oh, if we play him 36, he'd average 18 and 9.
No,
not necessarily. You know that.
No, I too getting double teamed, getting triple teamed, seeing everything.
He's not getting double teamed. He's not. That's what doesn't make sense.
Why not?
Huh?
They're running second guys.
They should be done.
Yeah, and that's why he gets easy assists. They just stand out around the three-point line and shoot threes.
Doug,
but they don't run enough doubles. I don't understand why they don't. He ain't coming off the basketball.
You know, as a guy that played at a high level, how difficult it is when the defense is zeroed in on you and you're coming.
But
sometimes you get the
can't touch the dude.
Well, you can't touch anybody else either.
I understand, but you.
So
I'm not. They're not going to win a championship playing like this.
Right, because they start playing real basketball with real officiating in the playoffs, and you can't play real basketball this way.
They also don't have the personnel, and if they do have the personnel to win the championship, as much as I like Mike D'Antoni, he's not coaching them to win a championship. The way they play is not going to win a championship. And that's partly on the coach, too.
It's also on their personnel. Like, look, last year they were there and they missed 27 straight threes. And I think a portion of it is the fact that they didn't develop other guys' confidence throughout the season.
But those guys were confident for the first 6 games of the series, and the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. And one game they weren't confident enough.
Yes, in a shortened series, no, they were the better team.
It was a 7-game series.
I understand.
They played well for 6 of them.
But the Western Conference Final, so they have to get through 2 rounds
against arguably the best team.
No, but they had better.
Coming up to the Padres, make a mistake of locking up Manny Machado for 10 years. That's next on First Things First.